All right, this is a video detailing the install of a aftermarket fuel tank guard slash cover. This is the sort of skid plate or skid cover that covers the fuel tank on the 2009 Grand Cherokee WK Overland. Unfortunately, it rusted out, so now I'm at this point where I've got the Jeep on my quick jacks, and I'm gonna go ahead and try to get this installed today. I'll show you the actual unit. It's an aftermarket from Dorman, which I actually coated. You might be able to see here, I've actually taken the transmission cover as well, the guard there, and coated it with Raptor Liner. And I did the same thing to the Dorman unit as well. This is stock. Take this off. And this is the Dorman aftermarket unit. It comes with a, I'm assuming it's just a base layer of paint. Doesn't seem to be actually all that great. Therefore, I cleaned it off, put the Raptor Liner on, and well, we're at where now. So we'll get to it. All right, the tools we'll need include a breaker bar with an extension, 18 millimeter, as well as a 15 millimeter. The 15 millimeter is actually for the rear drive shaft, which I did end up removing to get to some of the parts. The 18 millimeter is for the actual hardware for the actual cover itself for the fuel tank. You will need Loctite to put the rear drive shaft bolts back in. This was actually to help remove the rear drive shaft because it was rusted on pretty bad. And then this was to clean off the area between the two pads for the drive shaft and clean the nuts and bolts that I was taking off. I used a DAC or torque wrench to help to put the bolts back in. I actually couldn't use this to take them out because they were so rusted, so I used the breaker bar for that. And then I did use this, which is a nice little stand to elevate the guard while you're working on it, as well as a jack. You'll need a lot of jack pads. This was quite the job, but you'll see as we go along here. Hopefully this will help someone out. So just a perspective of what I'm dealing with. I've got this all covered with duct tape after it fell off from the rust. Come up here, you can kind of see all the regions where I covered were just completely covered with rust here. This is not supposed to be exposed right here. This is the fuel tank. So next thing we need to do is get the bolts up there, one up there at the very end. You can see kind of it's a little bit behind the drive shaft, and one up here as well, a little harder to see. Then we've got 3 on the other side. So I will see if I can get this off without having to take the drive shaft off. All right, spoiler alert, the rear drive shaft does need to be dropped, so that's what I'm doing currently with the breaker bar and kind of immobilizing the drive shaft with that extension bit fitted in between there, underside of the diff back here. Again, that's because the bolt, let's see if I can get a picture of it, back there, and it's gonna be hard to see, the very back there is right underneath the knuckle, and this is enough room. So I'm gonna drop it from the rear. That should give me enough room, and then we'll get to taking off the actual rusty bits. All right, the drive shaft is dropped from the rear joint here. Took a little hitting with a mallet to get it off, but did come off. Now I need to get to that bolt up there, and the rest of the bolts for the straps. Drop down the rusted tank and put the new one on. I will support this plastic tank with a stand while I'm getting everything into place, but I'll show you that in just a second. All right, I've got the supported tank there, so I'm gonna get to wrenching on all those bolts, and we'll drop off this rusty mess. All right, after multiple hours of wrenching, I was able to drop the pan. As you can see, I have the actual gas tank supported. So I'm gonna use some ratchet straps to keep the gas tank up, and then I'm gonna roll underneath with the new pan and start to place it in place. And hopefully it all goes a little easier than taking it off. All right, I'll get back to you in a second. All right, she's completely down and ratchet strap is in place. So I'm gonna pull it out, put the new one in. And just to show how I ratchet strapped it up, I kind of went across the seats, went under, then held up the gas tank there. Then I had a support. I'll see if I can go over there and take a look at it right there on the front end. Fairly well supported. This is the actual rusty beast here. Yeah, real POS. But new one's going in. So here's the replacement Dorman unit. As stated before, I Raptor lined it. You might be able to see that. Both sides, 2 coats. The only thing I may need to do before I put this on is this little lip right here. Kind of goes in just a little bit. I may need to knock it across just a bit to make the transmission guard fit on there. I might do that before I put it on. All right, I'll get to it. So just using a pair of vice grips and slight pull. And there she is. Looks pretty good, actually. Should work perfectly. All right, the last thing I'm going to do before putting it in is put a little bit of padding. So basically it's like a weather stripping, so that the gas tank can be padded against this instead of metal directly on plastic. All right, let's get it in. All right, job is done. As you can see, I got the transmission cover reattached, as well as, more importantly, a fuel tank guard. A couple places I'm gonna touch up probably tomorrow, but yeah, overall went well. I would probably say this is likely not a one-man job. I made it work, but I've been out here for multiple hours. I think 2 men would be better. Definitely need to have a lift like the quick jack system I'm using right here. And you'll need, I would say at minimum, a couple different jack stands to hold everything up. And if you're a one man, you're pretty much going to be bench pressing the whole night. But job's done, and this hopefully should last the life of the car, since I've put Raptor Liner on it. So hopefully you get something out of this, and if you do, give it a like. All right, thanks. Bye.